for the very last WWF game on NES, we'll be looking at WWF King of the Ring. Notice we've been looking at them in order of when they came out. This is to ensure we see what each one does better and worse than the last in a proper order. And I'm glad to be done with this journey now. Well, at least kind of. We still gotta review this game before we could say we're completely done. So let's get into it and see if this is any better than the last 3 NES WWF games or not.
Okay, place your bets.
WWF King of the Ring was developed by East Ridge Technology and published by LJN in the year 1993 for NES and Game Boy. We'll be looking at the NES version, obviously.
Oh, no shit.
This game features player versus computer or player versus player only. There's no in between. As for match types, you got one-on-one, tag team, tournament, and King of the Ring. Sadly though, outside of one-on-one, you cannot pick your opponents. But at least you can still pick your teammate and tag team. Overall, an okay selection of modes and match types. But of course, what about the roster?
I wonder what it could be.
The roster includes Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Lex Luger, Yokozuna, Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Mr. Perfect, Bam Bam Bigelow, and The Undertaker. A grand total of 10? Only 10? Just like the last game? Well, I can't say that I'm surprised, but whatever.
No, I'm not mad.
The controls are your usual D-pad to move, A to punch, B to kick, and that's about it. You can, however, use A to body slam people once down, or use it with the D-pad to run forward, which doesn't let me attack for some reason, but I do end up colliding with the other wrestler quite often because of this layout. Seeing how you instinctively press the D-pad to face your opponent in fighting games, and maybe use it with another form of an attack. The combat itself is more stripped down in comparison to the last few games. You have no attacks besides punch, kick, run, grapple, and body slam. They did not include any unique moves for each wrestler, so no tombstone, choke slam, sweet chin music, or axe bomber, leaving combat to end up highly repetitive and shallow. Yet it's still kind of fun. For an NES game, you could have asked for a more refined, fluid combat system with good movement. Sure, maybe utilizing the select button and combos for more moves would have been nice, but it's overall still kind of fun. The combat really just becomes a nut stomping simulator by the end of it. Which, I ain't gonna lie, I find it hilarious and was quickly reminded of that Boondock song by Thugnificent.
Stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, I'ma stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp.
Overall, the game is really easy in every mode, except for tournament. Yeah, the AI is pretty passive on easy and normal difficulties, but the AI becomes completely coked up on meth and Red Bull by the 4th match in tournament. I could barely get a win in the grapples or even fight back. Bam Bam Bigelow just destroyed me in the end.
Wait, what? What the fuck? What the hell? What kind of fucking game is this? That is fucked, man. This is actually fucked. Are you guys putting the pieces together?
So what about the whole point of this game? The King of the Ring match type. After all, that's the name of the game. Well, turns out it's just fine. You compete against 3 different opponents over a tournament tree and see who comes out on top. It's actually okay and kind of fun, but it's just several standard one-on-one matches in a row, so nothing really all that special. To which, of course, I easily won the whole damn thing because of my secret technique, the nut stomping ninjutsu.
Stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, I'ma stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, I'ma stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, I'ma stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts.
You have an ass back, brother.
And with all that said, we're done with WWF games on the NES. Glad too, because so many of these are terrible and not worth playing. But still, it was a nice change of pace from the last few games I've reviewed. Not sure if I'll tackle more platforms in the future, but it's not entirely off the table yet. After all, we still got the GameCube and PS3 with stuff I haven't covered yet, so who knows. Anyways, let's wrap this up.
Finally!
At the end of the day, WWF King of the Ring is a mediocre, fun little 8-bit wrestling game worth playing.
It's a miracle.
Yes, after 3 garbage to borderline mediocre games later, we finally found something decent enough for the NES. Too bad it's a 1 out of 4 that are worth playing. Not a good score overall. My only complaints with this game is the combat is more shallow with no special moves.
Oh, bitch, bitch, bitch!
You will constantly run into your opponent, knocking each other down due to the button input for running. You cannot pick your opponents outside of one-on-one. Tournament mode just spikes in difficulty out of nowhere. And the roster for not really being expanded upon from previous games.
Let me get to the point.
Sure, the combat is repetitive and super shallow, but it's stupid simple fun that can be enjoyed in short bursts. I'm glad I finally looked at every WWF game for the NES. It helped me see the Sega Genesis games in a new light. Plus, I got to play games I never played growing up, let alone never even heard of. I only ever thought Super Nintendo onwards had WWF games, till AVGN did his wrestling episode. So yeah, give this game a shot. It's the one that's worth a try at the least. And I'm glad to be done with this journey. Thanks for being a part of it. I'm not sure which platform I'll look at next for wrestling games. Maybe the GameCube, since it has exclusive WWE games on it, like Road to WrestleMania X8 and XIX, plus those Day of Reckoning games, all 4 of which were made by Ukes, so that might help make them actually decent enough to play. Despite some issues, Ukes has been one of the better WWE game developers till they left.
Oh, it's true.
Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later.
Stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, I'ma stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts, I'ma stomp 'em in the nuts, we'll stomp 'em in the nuts.